Welcome to Mentoring Moments. Mentoring Moments is a sub-series of the E-commerce Edge podcast. It is composed of clips taken from Jason's one-to-one and group mentorship sessions. From Can't Stop Me, Blue Ocean Consultancy, welcome to the pod.
Hi, how are you?
Very good, thank you. It's good to have you along for the ride today. We tried to record this a week and a half ago, and we had some technical issues with your connectivity from your side, and we have to re-record. So I appreciate you taking some extra time out of your day to spend with me and get this hopefully in the can with some good audio and good video quality here. But before we jump into exactly what you're doing with your consultancy services and just the headline, if I was to just read the headline of what you do, you're a fractional COO and Blue Ocean strategist for 7 to 8 figure DTC or direct to consumer brands. You help brands to fix their margin leaks, unlock new growth paths, install clear and simple systems so that founders can scale without chaos in their businesses. And I'm guessing your focus is a heck of a lot on e-commerce and omnichannel businesses. Heck of a lot to do with AI, helping these businesses accelerate their differentiation in the market. But before we get into that, how the heck did you get into this consulting space? Speaking for myself, I'm also a consultant. I did over 20 years in the industry, working in agencies, building agencies, working inside brands, building brands, having my own e-commerce pure play brand, and then decided at the end of all that, geez, the attraction of being a consultant is location freedom, financial freedom, personal freedom. It just is so attractive to not have to, when you run an agency and you've got 30, 40, 50, 60, 100, 150 people that are relying on you for their income and for their livelihood, there's an extra level of pressure and stress that goes along with that. And I actually love the fact that basically I get the extreme privilege of being a run and gun consultant now, and I can work with lots of different brands, and I don't have to do implementations. I don't have to do any of that stuff. I get to come in and I get to help move the needle really quickly in their business, and I get to see very quickly whether how I've helped them actually is working or not. And I get to see the results of that consulting very quickly. Whereas oftentimes in an agency, sometimes your work, let's say you're a dev agency, you might not see the fruit of that labor for 6, 12, 18 months. As a consultant, we get to see the fruits of our labor super fast, right? And tell us how you got to be in this consulting space in the first place.
That's interesting that what you just said, Jason, because that's one of the things which I love, that I can see the moving needle part fast, right? But I get into this by accident. So I'm an operator my whole life. I started with 18, packed my bag, have no experience, and then go down the high streets and try to sell clothing. Okay. That's what I started with, and that I did for 26 years straight.
Wow.
Non-stop. Yeah, non-stop. I built from there an 8-figure business. I had different businesses like over time because I had no idea. So I didn't have what the younger guys or girls doing today, visualize, making a clear blueprint and blah, blah, blah. At that time, you pack the bag, you go, and then you see what's happening, right? And so that's what I did. And it grew to B2B. So I produced for Louis Vuitton, H&M, Zara, private label. I designed the stuff, showed them, then they ordered. And what I did there is I always focused on bestsellers because that's the only way in the B2B you can survive. Otherwise, they don't need you. So either you have a big China factory where your prices are so good and quality, and then you're just a production guy you produce for them, or you sell them innovation better and faster than they could do with their team. So that's what I did. So I had good margins because I found stuff they didn't, and then make them very fast possible in big numbers. So I had often the best selling products in their company history. the best sell through, like in out in the shortest period of time with the highest margin. And so that's what I did in B2B. And then later I built my own brand parallel, because you think, okay, H&M gets a new head of buying, then you start basically not from zero, but the orders could go down. I saw years I had when one customer orders 25 million in 1 year, and then it goes down maybe to 3 to 5 with the same customer. And then you wanted to stabilize with your own brand, which I can only tell anybody, if you build a brand, it's extremely expensive the way we used to build back then. Today, you build the demand through social media to a tribe, and then you launch the brand. And so I had my own brand. Then I built the other business, and first in Turkey, and then I moved to China because the quality and prices were better. And eventually I built my own factory in China. I had subcontractors with others, but I wanted to control the main narrative in quality, sampling, speed, service. So I had a laundry, a washing laundry, where we were the only company in China would allow to produce for Diesel, D Squared, and other Italian brands, because our innovation was so good. And yeah, so I built over in the top line, we built over $80 million. We made over $80 million in revenue, but it was other times back then than today. And so then after 26 years, I sold everything and then moved to Bali, where I was like really burnt out. I was tired. I was divorced. My dad died, and my company was just people I started with. They get comfortable. They wanted the big salaries, but they didn't want to grow. And then I had to do that. And I was also really tired of that. So I thought the only exit I could do is sell everything, because if everyone is comfortable, nobody wants to go. Nobody wants to go. Okay.
You have to be hungry. You got to find a way to generate as an entrepreneur. There's some days, as much as I love what I do every day, there are some days that I wake up and I go, oh, okay, I got a laundry list of things I need to do today, that I need to accomplish today for myself and for my clients. And it's maybe only once a month, but there are those days when you just, it's not a matter of motivation, it's a matter of discipline. And so the reality is, motivation can come and go, but if you've got discipline, that's something that you can actually build. That's like a muscle that you can work out.
But if it's not like today, right? So I had 80 people in Germany head office, then in our retail over 200, 800 people in Hong Kong and China. So it was not like build a company, automate everything with AI. It was different times. So you had to change people's minds, and people's minds don't change so easy, specifically when they earn a lot of money, right? So the only way I thought I can get out, so I sold everything and closed it, because nobody wants to move, right? And that was a hard process. I can tell anyone that too. If you own companies and operations in different countries, legally closing things is nightmare. It took me over a year, right?
Yes.
And then I moved to Bali, and the first few months, 2 months, I was really tired. And you break down. I was around 42 years old, and I'm like, okay, so now what?
Yeah.
So
Now
I
what?
know
I've recovered. I've had my 2 months of lying on the beach, but I can't do this for the rest of my life.
exactly. So I quickly discovered, I'm like, shit, what I'm going to do? Because when you want to go out, I left everything behind. When I was about to go, I got an offer from Headhunter, actually 3 offers. One was the creative director of Sarah, to be the creative director of Sarah, and that was a 7-figure salary plus stock options. And then another one was the They wanted to relaunch Abercrombie and Fitch. So they offered me that position. They wanted to do headquarters in New York, blah, blah, blah. And the third one was Miss 60 is the Italian brand, was really successful in the 90s. And they wanted to relaunch that. That was a Hong Kong Chinese company. They bought them. I was too tired. 7-figure, the offer from SALAR was insane. Even from Abercrombie, imagine New York office in Soho, they give you all the things you need to build it. But I was too tired. My mind was just, I want to go.
Yep.
Because to do that level, you need to be super
sharp.
Yeah.
They expect their pound of flesh. If they're going to offer you 6, 7 figures, they are going to get their pound of flesh, one way or the other.
And so then after 2 months, then I thought, okay, I need to do something. So I opened a healthy restaurant concept. I never did that in my life. So we were nominated to the top 10 restaurants in the world, top 10% restaurants in the world, 2020 and 21. And then I did that for 2 years, just warmed up, or 1.5, because in between there was also lockdowns in Bali, not from COVID, but from the Mount Agung, the volcanoes, etc. So it was really turbulent. Like first you have this structure, and then it's like the Wild West, things happening I never faced. Like you're in your bubble, you're running around, and
to the world of AI too.
Yeah. And then the COVID hit, and there I dive deep into self-development. I never did that in my life. So I started 2 weeks before COVID for some reason with the book 5 a.m. Club from Robin Sharma. And it blew my mind. So imagine someone never read a book, just hustled. And then I'm like, shit, this is good, right? And from there, I finished over 400 books, did over 12,000 hours of self-development. And the idea, because everyone tells you in the self-development, you have to change the world. Okay, I say, okay, I want to change the world. And then, so I wrote down in one of my goals was impacting 500 million lives. And to do that, I thought, okay, maybe I do that through helping others. And this took different shapes. First, I wanted to help with habit, with mindset. I wrote a book about manifestation, Can't Stop Me, Manifest Success and Happiness. Just to people, that's the simplest way where they can write down, read their goals every day, and then manifest them. It's like a cheat code, right? It's not like the secret, sit, wish for some shit, it's happened. It's not like that, right? So then I did that, and that's how I came. Fast forward today, the fastest way I can help companies that I can impact people is by helping companies. Because if you build a company, you know that it takes all your focus, all your energy. Even in my own company, I can't see as clearly as I see from outside on other companies. That's the founder's dilemma, right? 87% of founders can't see from inside their business as clear. So
the fishbowl effect.
Yeah. So that's how I came to consulting. And now what you just said is exactly the same for me. I go in, can see fast what's the problem, and then connect the dots, because I'm an operator. And very clearly, I'm not this bullshit advice guys from social media. Because it's by default. If you focus on getting clicks, getting likes, if you're the best marketer, for sure, you're not the best operator. I can tell you that, because they are two completely different people. Marketing people think in manipulation by default. Okay, so if anyone want to tell me something else, he or she talks bullshit. Because give you a simple example. Alex Hormozi is not bullshit, but he is a marketer. So his mind will always go for numbers. He's not a creator. He don't create. He goes by logic and numbers. Versus Gary Vee. Gary Vee comes from retail floor. He grew up with his father's wine library, 14, 15 years. He started working in a shop. So he knows creating something, building something, that's his thing. So he is a marketer, but he is also a creator. So that's why he wants to build the Disney of blah blah blah, or he's consistently building something, right? You can be a marketer, you can be a builder. Steve Jobs is a builder. He's not a marketer. That's something he learned as a tool for what he has to do. And he didn't market in a traditional way. He just packaged what he's saying in a better way and simple, right? And Elon Musk is not a marketer. He's an operator. Jeff Bezos is not a marketer. They are operators. So that's people need to cluster that very clearly. They follow all these people, they hook them in first 3 seconds, blah, blah, blah. I'm probably the worst marketer on the planet, but I'm the best operator on the planet. That is what the people need to understand. And if people also complain, hey, these guys are all bullshit, blah, 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 then don't follow them. Don't fall into their trap, because they do that so you can click on whatever they are selling. And I experienced this because before, in my previous thing, I have never anything to do with this online world. Right now it's 90% bullshit. Like the people, even me, right, they make me click, and then I'm like so empty. What they have to sell is so zero value. And then they're playing on the call psychological tricks. They're reading literally from Alex Hormozi's sales books, or I couldn't believe that this is real. I couldn't believe that people fall for this shit. And so I want to make very clear, we are moving into a world where people like probably you where try to give value as an operator and want to see fast results, people like me, we have the upper hand, because now every idiot can market. Okay, so you don't need the biggest hacks anymore. Every idiot can market with AI. And also I consult sometimes factories from China. They go directly to market. They have all the leverage. Now with AI marketing, the only thing was marketing and logistics. That's the only thing. And China is better than anybody in AI, so they can make. They were also very bad back in the day in branding. Sometimes if you saw the catalogs from the factories, the worst catalog on the planet, but they did the best products on the planet.
Yeah, and you knew that because you were there.
Yeah, lived there in Hong Kong mainly, and then my factories in China. So I really know from factory floor to
Retail floor.
Retail and digital checkout, all the things in between. And if you in consumer goods, it's really difficult today. It's not easy, because in my days, for a factory to go directly to market, very unusual. Now the people who selling something, they fight with the factories, they fight with the whatever
with the factory.
Sorry?
They're competing with the factory.
They're competing with the factories. So like I had some clients, one of them, they do Pilates machines. So they had zero D2C. We took them in, I think, 12 or 18 months to 6 million, from 0 to 6 million. And they make more profit with D2C than what they did in their whole B2B business, was much bigger. And many Chinese factories, because they, or Vietnamese, whatever, because they have the leverage. So
they've got the IP and they got the product and the scalability.
And now they can also look like an influencer, because they can generate with AI great content, perfect English or perfect whatever language. So they can do that and they will get much better in it. And I give it 6 to 12 months. Then the avatars you can create, you can basically build an influencer brand from zero without any influencer.
The
Right?
digital influencers only.
Yeah. And that's what the consumer goods industries are facing. And I think people like you and me were try to give real value, use AI to 100x that shit. They
Yeah.
have the upper hand, and every other person who have experience versus just taking what AI says, yeah, because it is a study shows that younger brains which wasn't exposed to logical thinking by themselves, they get the cognitive functions go down 47% in 2 weeks. two
Wow.
weeks and it doesn't go up again. You can't repair it. So I was sitting in calls. I'm interviewing people, right? So younger people between 25, 22. These guys asking me so many questions. I'm like, I think you misunderstood. You are in the interview and you're asking me question while you're reading from the fucking screen something what ChatGPT tells you to ask. If I tell you, you have no context. And these people say, yeah, and keep reading. This is how brain numb things I experience. I'm like, shit. So to be clear, I love the freedom part, but I don't love this. I'm more like, I love more when I interact in Hong Kong in factories with the customer. It's much better. Just to having, I would rather prefer to sit in a studio with you than to do this online. So I like part, but this online and fake and bullshit thing I don't like.
Yeah, I think that like the way I see it is that in-person events, in-person conferences, in-person consulting sessions, in-person podcasts, clearly we're not AI avatars. Clearly people can tell that this is free-flowing consciousness level of
Yeah.
discussion. But I think real people doing real things in the real world is going to actually increase in value the more AI slop and bullshit hits the internet.
Yes.
And I actually
Yeah.
think that's great. And we're already starting to see backlash in the form of OpenAI just shut down Sora, for example, right?
Yeah.
And Sora was the source of a lot of AI slop, right?
Yeah.
Very good looking AI slop, but still AI slop, right? Video. And I think that there is, just as there has been a backlash by the younger generation against social media, and there are lots and lots of kids now, or even teens, young adolescents, etc., that now they don't have any social media. They've removed it from their phone because they've seen that social media actually doesn't make them happier. It doesn't actually make them more productive. It doesn't make them more popular. It doesn't make them more successful. And they're going, if it doesn't do any of those things and it only makes me anxious, it only makes me jealous, it only makes me angry and bitter, why have it? Why have it on my phone? And so
Yeah.
kids are starting to wake up to that. And I think a lot of the younger generation are going to treat AI, the rapid social adjustment to AI is going to be 10 times as fast, and the backlash is going to be 10 times as fast as it was for social, because we've learned our lesson from social. And so I think the people that look at AI as an augmentation tool instead of a replacement, those are the people that are going to win. So for me, I'm using AI every single day to help make me more efficient on behalf of my clients. But
Yeah.
AI, there's not a single AI on the planet that has my 26 years worth of experience doing what I
Yeah.
do. And,
Yeah.
and, and that data is never going to make its way into an LLM. That's the reality. And so that IP that is unique to me, and that actually is where AI is going to start making companies more efficient, because it can become a bespoke operating system for their business. And it's going to plug into their systems, it's going to plug into their unique data sets. And we're going to start seeing some real benefits to AI, but it's not going to be the AI that's trained on global crawl. It's not going to be that, because the reality is global crawl is pulling in data that is of wildly differing quality. So you've got on the open internet, we've got some information and data that's ultra high quality and very accurate, all the way down to very low quality, very poor data that is structured very poorly and is useless to anybody, and everything in between. And when that is the corpus of training data that you're training on, you're going to get wildly varying results as a result. So when AI and a large language model is trained on our unique data, our unique processes, our unique experiences, our unique IP and documentation that's been built up over years, it can be a game changer for sure.
And that's what I'm saying, like people like you, me, or people with experience, but don't deny AI, just use it like 200x for results for my clients. I use it in so many ways. For example, for my offer, this 80/20 bestseller engine. So, because I like to go directly to the core, cut to the chase. I also set my goals like that. I call it domino goals, right? Steve Jobs called it signal to noise ratio, right? Steve Jobs was 80% signal, 20% noise. Elon Musk is 100% signal, no
Yeah.
noise. And I call it domino goals. So what has the biggest impact on their business? So I was thinking, okay, the biggest impact is you install an engine which makes all the other problems just go away, right? So what brands, the problems are customer acquisition cost way too high. It's not profitable anymore. So you have margins, which is shit, yeah, because it gets squeezed. Now a container is 10K again. It's squeezed by the suppliers. I lived that for 30 years now. Customer acquisition, margins, and then you have founders burnout, right? Also happened to me. 80 hours weeks. I pushed them like crazy. I lost my family in between because never home. And if I'm home, my brain is so cooked. So I didn't have the attention I should have had, right? So I stand in the warehouse with millions of goods. That's another thing, dead stock, right? And the other thing is what to order next. So because you get very fast distracted, hey, this competitor, you have this product, I jump on that train. Then the other competitor has that, so I need that too. Because my sales agents, I had sales agents for wholesale worldwide, and we need this, my customer Shacks wants this, and if we have that, then our sales will explode, blah blah blah, right? And when you're you are also in flow, orders coming in, okay, I take this product, that product, before too many SKUs, too low margins, and too much chaos, because more SKUs, more chaos, more dead stock, blah blah blah, quantifies. And then this 80/20 bestseller engine forces you to ask numbers of questions, like the Jeff Bezos questions: what will be relevant for my customer for the next 10 years, which will not go away, right? Let's say for Amazon is price. Jeff Bezos says, my customer will not say, I want to pay more, I want goods slower. It will not happen. So they double down on that. Every business should find they need to answer their Jeff Bezos question. What will not change for the next 10 years? And then they need to ask what my customer want, how they want it, who they are very specifically, and why they want it, why my product exists. Okay, so if you just by this filter, this is not complicated, right? So this is it forces you, just by answering these questions, you will have 80-90% more clarity. 80-90% more clarity. Just imagine. So what happened is that will solve your margin problem, because if you focus on that 80% of your revenue comes 20% from your products. This is the products with the better margins. Your customer acquisition costs will go down because you're not advertising 60 SKUs, you focus on 5. The right 5 with the right margin, which by default puts you in a blue ocean. Because if you tell people blue ocean, they say, yeah, I know roughly what it is, but they don't know exactly what it means. So I changed it. I said, forget that. We will get 80% of your revenue with 20% of product. That's the goal, right? What happened is you become more clear for your customer, right? So let's say Huel, the protein powder. Yeah, they just bought by Danone for $2 billion or something.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah.
The UK brand, Huel.
Yeah. Still the one Stephen Bartlett
was promoting,
invested. Yeah. And they are pretty clear, right? So what they're doing, they have a few products and they are very clear for their customers. So that's why they are Blue Ocean brand. If they are good or not, there's a different story, but they are Blue Ocean brand because they're pretty clear. So
they gave themselves an unfair advantage, and I guess that's what we all want to do. We want to give our businesses and our services an unfair advantage. We want to rewrite the rules of the playing field to where we're a playing field of one. That's the goal.
That's the goal. But how do you get? That's why I'm cutting to the chase. So I built a custom GPT. When people get a 90 minutes call with me, then they get the custom GPT with all the questions already, as they have to answer. And this custom GPT will tell them what to bet on next, what to cut. It's like a kill list. They need to answer all these questions. They will get just by this process, and it costs 90-minute call with me plus the custom GPT is $4,997. They will get, first of all, they will save money from their debt stock. I never had this situation where they don't get 5 or 10x minimum of their investment back right away from whatever they save inside the business just by installing this 80/20. And then they have clarity. They are clear to your customers. They are clear to their people inside the business, which means less firefighting. By less firefighting, you reduce the hours for the founder. And the trick here is they test 20% calculated test on their brand voice. So 80% of the revenue comes from 20% of the products. Can be 70-30. I'm just saying the Pareto rule, right? 80% and then 20% tests, but in their brand voice. When we got through the roof with the color denim, it was 40 million in 2 years, but it was color denim. My brand, One Green Elephant, was serious Japanese denim. So we exploded 40 million, but it was off brand. Which means after that, it was not Japanese denim anymore. So like Nudie, if you see Nudie jeans, they stayed always same, clean, in their niche. So that's why they grew now, I don't know, 70, 80 million, but they're a healthy company. They're around since years. They have a very specific customer. They didn't go like this. So today is not the day of generalist anymore. You have to focus. Your product can only be in one niche, and then you have to be the master of that niche for your product. Like Nudie, master that they stay consistent and they are healthy and they keep growing, slow but steady. So if that's what it means, so it's so important to grow within your brand voice. The 20% test, this is the same system which Shein, the Chinese supplier, they test 10 to 20,000 products a week. But they have such a sophisticated system, so they test just 100 pieces, 150 pieces, like very small numbers. Even they're a big company, they could afford much, much more. But they test very consistently small numbers. And then they kill everything from 20,000, 10,000 tests. Maybe they double down on 20. But on this 20, they sell in very short period of time hundreds of thousands, millions of pieces. That's why they can be profitable with a very small margin. On the other side, SALAR is doing the same. It looks like SALAR has so many models. It doesn't. They have the idea to store 2 weeks. Yeah, so speed. For them, speed and design. That's what they want to focus. Okay, speed and design. Quality is debatable. So I find SALAR's quality is shit because like it looks good, you wash it 2 times, you throw it away. And
Literally fast fashion, fast to the tip.
yeah, but the prices are not fast fashion, but that's good for them because the Ortega, the founder, he came from logistics. He's not coming from fashion, so he think in logistics, and this is another thing. Never founder who makes something big came from that specific industry. So if people say
they became a disruptor in it.
Exactly. People say you're not familiar with this industry, you have no experience. That's a good thing. Steve Jobs had no experience with the technical part, just with the strategy and with all the other parts. He was the technical guy and he did the rest. Elon Musk don't know shit about cars, don't know shit about building rockets, but if you are not from that industry, you think different. And that's the whole game, thinking different. So that's why this 80-20 bestseller rule even goes so far. The ChatGPT, the custom GPT will also tell you if your suppliers are not willing to do this and this, you need to cut them. Yeah, it tells you because you need a certain. I selected my suppliers by mindset, not by size, not by price, by mindset and quality. Because only then I could build with them something special. If they were not flexible, if they are not doing what they're supposed to do. For example, I told you last time, I think we invented this 3D wrinkle effect on denims, and this machine didn't exist. So I saw in Korea they had something similar. So they had like pipes which was movable, like on the women doctors chair when you have these legs, you can put the legs there. Yeah, and so we built pipes which was movable like legs so that they can make the wrinkle effect, so we can make it permanent then. This machine didn't exist, so I find the young guy who had a small workshop, technical, he built some technical machines, and then I said,
like an engineer.
Engineer, yeah. And I said, can you do this and this? I explained it to him. I didn't even show it. I just explained it. He drew it. He said, I can do it, but I need the down payment because he don't have the money. So we give him the money. I said, I need 800 of these machines within 6 months and 2 years only exclusive for me. And then you can sell it to whoever. Yeah. So I give him that. Then he did that and we exploded because we were the only one could do this complicated effect at scale for big companies like Zara, H&M, Louis Vuitton, whatever. And he today is doing around 150 million. That guy, because he was open-minded from a small shop, I give him the idea. Later, he made a lot of money with that ideas, but that's what I mean by you need open-minded supplier. And the 80-20 rule, it goes from supplier, and there is suppliers I know because that's what I do today. Even you need to find certain suppliers, then you will have better products and you have an outstanding position in the market. And this is all embedded in the 80-20 bestseller engine framework. Yeah. So by selling that or installing that, all the other problems maybe not disappear 100%, but they go away 80, 70, 80%, like customer acquisition cost, margins, squeezing, debt stock. You have more freedom, cash flow, because you're not waiting on, you don't have debt stock waiting, or you don't have money tied in POs, because until production deliveries, we are talking about cash flows 4 to 6 months gone.
Yeah, you have to have a very high cash conversion cycle, especially in fashion. Otherwise, you are dead meat. It's true, especially if you're producing physical goods of any kind. Like you really, these industries are asset heavy. They're opposite of asset light. Uber, asset light, right? They don't own the cars, right? Airbnb, asset light. They don't own the properties, right? What you're describing is the opposite. It's asset heavy, and so
it's consumer goods, right? So it's same for supplements. It's in any fuel. Also, it's same. Also, they have supplements have a different stack of problems. But the 80/20 bestseller engine, it doesn't matter what product. Yeah, as long as you deal with products, this works, and that is the simplest, fastest way to cut to the chase. It's
so
like
so that's all fine and good. You've got this existing catalog, whether you've got 100 SKUs, 500 SKUs, 5,000 SKUs, 5 million SKUs, you're starting from somewhere, and you have a sales track record across that catalog. And so if you're going to be cutting potentially 80% of the SKUs from your catalog, narrowing down on the 20% based on a bunch of different factors and based on a bunch of different criteria, you're going to narrow down to 20%. How do you know then when you need to start re-expanding your catalog again? How do you know? So you've cut 80% out. Now, when do you start adding, slowly growing your catalog again?
Because you consistently testing, it tells you there is a test. Also, the 20% that's the best. That's why 80/20 bestseller engines. My brain also try to find the next bestseller. So what it means is, let's say you have a supplement brand. So you go to Particle, Jungle Scout, whatever, and then you can see in Amazon, this is selling on TikTok shop, this is selling on Shopify, or in general, this is selling. You can pull the data. That's the AI part. Then you put it in AI, and then the data will cross-check that with your brand voice, like the Jeff Bezos question, who is your customer? And then based on that, it's suggested do supplements in this and this. Let's say if you are in recovery, then you can, like in sports recovery, so you can also sell energy as well, like recovery, and the other barbell side, like the energy. But you can't sell something which is completely off-brand, right?
Like something that's going to help you sleep.
For example.
And it's weird that you raised this specifically, because did you see that Red Bull is coming out with a sleep drink? And it seems totally off-brand to me.
That is completely off-brand, and that's a big mistake.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it?
And I tell you how far this, if you are, because Red Bull specifically owns the neural pathway in their people's brain of adrenaline action, right?
Yes.
So that's the highest leverage you can, as a brand, you can own a neural pathway, right?
Yep.
And they have that. Like Apple owns like this creative, you are different kind of thing, pathway. And I give you another example, that's the best example I know to put it in perspective, how far this goes. Zumba, right? Zumba, this sport, that. So they are doing around 300 million a year, like from all the classes. And one of the founders, his name is Jeff Pearlman. He's Colombian, right? There are a bunch of Colombian guys who invented that. And he's the marketing guy. He's one of the co-founders. And then they said that we're doing 300 million all over the world. They're booking our classes. And then it's logical that all their members, they're using protein drinks. All. So they said, okay, we do a protein drink. It called Shake Shake, which is super cool name, matches the brand. It flopped. Why? Because people associate Zumba with joy, fun, movement, energy, not
Yeah.
with protein is building muscle,
Yes.
is like a little bit more
Weightlifting,
serious.
shape. Yeah.
Imagine this is how far it goes. What you're describing was Red Brand, but what I'm saying is even when it seems logical, but if the customer doesn't put you in that box, it will not work. So that's how far customers can put you in one box. And if you're smart, you expand within that box. Because whatever you do, you can't make them buy it anyway.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Might as well
and
go with the
that's
tide instead of fighting the tide. It's that simple.
it's that simple, and that's the 20%. It will tell you, suggest, at least gives you restrictions. Don't go in that direction. And most people, what they do is they check on Particle, on Jungle Scout, whatever is selling, and then they do. But this is already out there. You don't know
Yeah.
when the curve will go down. You don't know if something is selling very good. It's already out there. So then, if you're not super, super fast, and then if this is not your strategy, being super fast and the best in price, then you can do that. That's another strategy, right? That's your blue ocean. If you compete on that, then you can be like Amazon, speed and price. Yeah. But if you want to find bestseller in your brand voice, which sets you apart, then you better have a framework. If you don't, you jump on too many trains, you build dead stock, thinner margins, tied up cash flow, more firefighting. So founders burn out. So
And
all
market
is
confusion around your brand. Like the market gets confused very easily. You can spend. That's why I think it's so wild that somebody like Red Bull comes out with a sleep drink because they've spent 30 years with the Red Bull air races and just a million different action sport events that they've sponsored. And then all of a sudden to go to sleep, like you can spend 30 years building a brand and it might only take one product to destroy your brand. And that's why
this
you got
is
to be really careful.
what you just said. It doesn't even go in my head. What you just, it's so crazy to, that's like a very crazy move. I don't know if there is something behind, like maybe a marketing gag, because it seems so stupid to do that. But
Yes.
because, and they're not known for stupid things.
Yes.
They did almost perfect marketing from day one.
Yeah, for 30 years they've been doing like the best marketing in the world in some respects.
And Matuchek, the founder, he's dead. I think his son is now doing it. But this is how important it is. So my fastest, so to go to the root and focus on the root problem is the 80/20 bestseller engine. And then it takes care of all the rest. And I believe if you have not a foundation, which is super simple and gives you a super clear, that is also the brand filter at the same time, you have zero chance. In today's world, you have zero chance. With, in my time, we didn't have fluctuations like that, like containers go down, go up to 10,000 and do, this is crazy. I
Yeah.
have the comparison. I play offense since now 30 years. This is what happened in these times is crazy,
Yeah.
right?
No one could have predicted COVID. We got hot wars emerging all around the world and tariffs and then no tariffs. And the only thing we can say about business is the only constant is change. And that is a fact. And it's the change is accelerating. And I think that
Exactly.
it's,
That's a key
I,
word.
I
The
think
change.
it's easy. I think it's easy for business leaders, founders to get discouraged. I think that it can become overwhelming. They're like, "Oh God, the amount of inputs I have coming in on a daily basis is
Jason,
overwhelming."
is too
Right?
much. It's too
Yeah.
much for anybody. It's, I
Yeah.
swear, even I give you a small example. Like when I go to Bali, like from my bubble, right? So I had my trips, I go to meetings, and then in Bali, volcano, this rules, that rules. I'm like, it seems so weird, right? And now
Yeah.
today, for a founder, so just imagine the brain processes less because they're overwhelmed, right? So by all the information, and then
Yes.
either they go directly. If you go to e-commerce, most e-commerce brand, they are just better marketers.
Yes.
Yeah, okay,
Yes.
but now marketing get commoditized. So what do you do?
Yeah.
So now this was your edge, then you have no edge, because from marketing guy to product guy to brand guy, very difficult. I'm telling you.
Yes. Man, and the saying is your business will only grow as fast as you do as the founder or the leader of the business. You will ultimately be the handbrake on your business. And I think business leaders feel that pressure every single day. And for me
Every
personally,
single day.
yeah, and for me personally, doing less but doing it better for me has been the way that I've been able to de-stress my life. And
100%.
the other thing that I've managed to de-stress my life is I don't owe a dollar to anyone. I don't have a
Yeah.
mortgage, I don't have a car payment, I have zero debt in my life. So therefore, I am free to make decisions without the pressure of needing to make a mortgage, needing to make a car payment, needing to feed kids, needing to. I think people underestimate the pressure of fixed overheads in their life. I think people underestimate how stressful that is. When you've got high fixed overheads, if you've got a lifestyle that requires a minimum of $10,000 a month just to stay static, that's stressful. Or if, let's say
I'm
you got a $20 or a $30,000 a month lifestyle, that is stressful because any little bump that comes along in your life can threaten that.
Jason, I back then, just imagine my Hong Kong life was about 30K a month. My personal fixed cost, apartment, not company,
Yeah,
office,
just
workers,
personal overheads.
personal. So it was not in the saying, if you climb the ladder, don't look down, otherwise you
Yes.
get dizzy and fall off. So I never looked down, but I think it's lingering somewhere there. Then I had probably personal another 20K with my kids, family, a house, this that in Germany. So we're talking about 50K just like costs, okay, without.
Just to maintain, not to get better, improve your life, just to maintain your life.
Yeah.
That is wild. And I think that's actually underestimated. And I think a lot of VCs and PE firms now, one of their goals is to get the founders of the businesses that they invest in to a place of being able to unload that stress, being able to say, okay, we're not gonna authorize a $10 million a year salary, but what we will authorize is, hey, how much do you need to buy your house? How much do you need to buy your vehicles? How much do you need to basically de-stress at least the personal side of your life so that you have more bandwidth to think about the business side of your life? Because I tell you, we all have limited bandwidth, right? We all only have so much emotional, mental, physical, spiritual bandwidth at any given point in time. And so if we're chewing up 50, 75% of our bandwidth just to survive, that's a difficult place to be because the excess bandwidth you have to grow your business or be creative, build things in the world, help improve other people's lives, etc. It's like the saying in the plane, right? You got to put your own mask on first. You have to. If you're dead, you ain't helping anybody. And
Yeah,
so
yeah,
if you die at 50 years old from a heart attack because you've lived with chronic stress for 30 years, you ain't helping anybody. You ain't helping
yeah,
your staff. You ain't helping your family. You ain't helping anybody. And so
yeah.
I think that this whole focus on business success, hit the $1 million, hit the 5 million, hit the 10 million, use AI. Like I think that people have a really hard time focusing on what's actually important, not
But
only in
that
their life, but in their business.
but that's the point also. Let's say by default. So I'm not talking about all of this in none of my coachings or like consulting. I'm talking about that. I had He was also the head fitness coach of the German Olympic and soccer team. Okay.
Wow.
He was also my coach. That guy, he was the best guy you can imagine. So he never tell you what he's going to do. Okay, never. And because I know it's really hard, I'm like, hey, what we're going to do? What we're going to do? He's like very calm guy. He's talking around the topics, right? Before, I don't know how he does it, so he make me not ask anymore, and then we just start somehow, right? And then, so what nobody else could do, he pushed me to my absolute maximum limit every time, but without pushing. We just did it, no talking, we just do it, and looking back, you're like, wow, how the fuck I did that, do that. And that's the same thing if I tell in business, all the no, implement this, everything else will go away. So simplicity, speed, and results. This is my brand filter. It has to be so stupidly simple that you can't fail. And
Yes.
what happened is, if you install that, all of the sudden what you just said makes more sense to them, because they earn money. You want to do only more SKUs because out of insecurity, not out of security. So if you feel, wow, I make $1 million, let's say, but I make 500K profit or 300K, you don't give a shit about making 7, 10, 12, 50. Or if you're making $20 million and doing 7 million in profit, trust me, you don't want to go to 50.
No.
Because if you go to 50 and go down to 3 million, that's happening, 3 million profit, what's the point? When I see this show Alex Harmozy do, like Ask Gary V,
Yeah.
and then tattoo guy, I don't know if they picked these guys, but this seems so stupid to me. A tattoo guy, yeah, I have a tattoo studios. I do 3 million next year. I want to do 20. How you go from 3 to 20? Why you want to do that? So with a tattoo studio, every guy who comes up in Alex Harmozy show, I'm doing 1 million, but next year I want to do 20.
Yeah.
How?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is the point where, but this is not their fault. All the social media do bigger, better, faster, but this is bullshit.
Grant Cardone, 10x, everybody's 10x this, 20x that, 30x that.
But this is fake. This is not real. Everyone has their own DNA. Some people like this comfort guy, right? So he grow comfort, the hoodies, he grow to 700 million or 500 million within 4 or 5 years. But he did similar things before, not in that scale, but he did TikTok shop with 2 or 3 times with others. One was toothpaste or something like this whitening stuff. He made it very big. And the concept is the same in social, in e-commerce is very simple. You have UGC, which shifts more UGC than ads. Then you take the UGC content, the winning ones, run calculated ads, and you run a lot of them. So that's a typical playbook, right? And guys like him, they run 10,000, 15,000 UGCs at the same time. Like they have 10, 15,000 creators. So it's a numbers game. That's it. Come on, what kind of fucking story? Gen Z, this fabric is soft. It's for the stressed out Gen Z. That's the stupidest thing I ever heard in my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not about that story. It's not about that story. It's about the numbers, the quantity, the visibility, the frameworks he has. He know what to sell, what price, what colors. He make it available. His page doesn't look even good, but 700 million. So this is systems. This is
Yes.
not the product.
It's not luck. It's not luck, and it's not just good marketing.
It's a and it's not a big secret, right? So you have the UGC, you have affiliate, you run ads, and then you have organic story building. You just need to put it up on a chart and then say, okay, I want to go first with organic 80%, 10% I do this, 10% that, and then we grow from there. I'm going to start with my son, super cool, a streetwear brand, yeah, as a streetwear athletic, like this, and he's a
Like a
boxer.
crossover brand. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a boxer, and he looks like Brad Pitt, and he's a
Wow.
model. He looks nothing like me, okay?
I
So,
love it.
and he is into mindsetting, so we will tailor the brand around him, because he
Yes.
believed in follow your dreams. He came from Germany to live with me. He struggle also, but he do all the routines I do: morning routine, mind setting, meditation, training, learning. Every day he learns something. He has a specific learning window. It doesn't matter how busy it gets. And we will tailor the brand around him. Then we grow from, let's say, he go to Miami and he has a friends there. They're boxing with really good people, so he give them the stuff. I'm just giving you a very simple playbook, right? And
Yeah.
then you grow from there. So you create the demand, and then, and if I want to roll it out, then I don't do it like comfort, but then maybe I take super selected people and give 200 of them the goods, and they do not UGC by quantity, they just generate the content, and then you can grow from there. It's all about what do you want, and then
Yes.
you can go to. That's why before you do anything, or even you already started, you need a filter. And this my 80/20 bestseller framework, it pushes you through the filter. You have to answer 50 plus questions, and then you get so much clarity. If I would have that back then, I didn't have that. If I would have this back then, today I would have $1 billion exit already, 2 times. a
Wow.
billion dollar. They offered me 50 million for my brand. I didn't sell it, because at that time all my friends sell for 500 million, a billion, but they are not in my business. But
Yeah.
this was, I'm young. I never
You didn't know
learned
what you
any.
had.
Yeah, I never learned anything. I didn't had a mentor. I just, okay, my brand is so hot, I wait and then sell it for 300 million. So this is really comes down on what do you want, and having this clarity. Everything is about, in a world where everything is confusing, your number one asset is clarity. Yeah, and in any business it comes down to speed, service, yeah, and yeah, speed and service mostly. How you make the people feel, and then if something is good, they want it fast. I
Yeah.
experienced that too. When we go through the roof, people get so pissed. Gallery
Yes.
Lafayette, the main house, the at that time the most prestigious retail store in the world, we delivered them. They sold 280 pairs in on a one Saturday. Who could have known that? Nobody.
Yeah.
They go crazy. You need to deliver us Monday. We make it happen, delivering on Tuesday another 500. Yeah, for that specific, I cut it somewhere else to give it to them, because the demand was so. If you're successful, you need to fulfill that demand. Then you have another problem,
Yes.
because
Yes.
people know they can make money with it. They get really pissed if you don't deliver.
Yes. Yes. Look at Nike and the lines around Nike stores when there's a new drop. It's an absolute common situation. Listen, Tarkan, this has been a fantastic conversation. You're an interesting guy. You've done so many crazy things in your life. You're building new businesses all the time. You're a serial entrepreneur, but you've come out the other side of burnout. with some things that I think will really help business owners to focus. And you shared a lot with me today and the audience. So I really appreciate it. If you could sprinkle fairy dust on the e-commerce industry and change one thing about it at the snap of your fingers, what would it be?
I would say every single company needs something like the 80/20 bestseller engine, or they need some form of clarity. They need to know exactly what they want, why they want it, and for whom they want it to. And every company should answer the Jeff Bezos question. So just by 3, 4 questions answered, the chances they will have a better life, more profits, more. It's clarity. If I would have the one word, it's clarity.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Now, I will drop a link to your LinkedIn profile in the show notes. Other than that, if people want to reach out to you and have a conversation about all things DTC, all things building brand, all things differentiation, and all the things we talked about today, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
LinkedIn. They can connect with me on LinkedIn, send me an DM, and we can pick it up from there. Everything starts with a simple conversation. I'm not doing, my business is not super scalable. I focus on few people, but try to give value, because the world don't need another hyper growth kind of shit. This comes from my businesses, but I focus on giving value to the founders. So that's the best way. Everything starts with a conversation. I tell them if I can help them, yes or no. If not, then not. If yes, then we kill it.
I love it. I love it. Now, as we do come down to the end of our time together, this is where I get to flip the script. I get to hand the microphone over to you. I get to let you ask me one question, any question you like. It could be personal or professional. Mr. Tarkan SALAR, what is your question for me today?
What would be your sprinkle on the D2C business if you can have one message to them, like one?
Yeah, I don't really play too much in D2C land anymore. Like 99% of my consulting is now in the B2B world for manufacturers and distributors selling
Okay.
B2B. But I'm going to go outside the box here, and I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but I'm going to mention it again. I think there's only a couple of foundational things outside of the million business books you can read and all the gurus that you can watch and everything else. There's an unlimited amount of content out there for D2C brands, B2B brands, doesn't really matter. But there are some metacognition things that you can do that have an outsized impact on your life that maybe, okay, cool, it doesn't directly relate to business, but it will make your entire life better, including your business life, including your personal life. I already spoke to one, which was getting out of debt. The second one is travel. I'm now living in the third country I've traveled to many more. I think we're up to 30 or 40 countries. My wife and I have been to now. And look, I think my wife's Asian. I've always been interested in different cultures. I've always been interested in different. They say to really know a person, you need to walk a mile in their shoes. And that's used as a metaphor. But I literally think you need to physically walk in the places they walk. You need to go to the bazaars that they shop in. You need to go to the supermarkets that you don't even know the name of. You need to be exposed to languages you've never heard before. You need to be exposed to food that you've never eaten before. If you want to create new neural
Experiences.
pathways in your brain, you need to pattern break in a radical way. And the only one of the quickest ways I know to pattern break is to bloody get outside your comfort zone and travel. Okay, maybe you don't need to live in different countries like you and I have, but that helps too. But just the more early and often you can travel in your life, it will make you a better human. It will make you a more empathetic human. It will make you a better
Yes.
business person.
Yeah.
It will make you a better person across the board, in my opinion.
Yes, 100%. I agree. Yeah, that's a really good thing. That's, for example, my son tried to live exactly that. And this is follow your dreams, what you're saying, and stack experiences, because that is the real wealth.
Yes. I could not agree more. Absolutely. Listen, this has been a fabulous conversation. I've really, truly enjoyed it. I appreciate you persevering and getting back connected with me, persevering through the technical challenges we
No
had. And I
worries.
can't
Thank
wait
you,
to speak.
Jason.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Yeah.
If you'd like to get mentored by Jason for free, head over to greenwoodconsulting.net, scroll to the bottom of the page, and click Get Mentored by Jason.